Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Let's get started. Today we are unpacking a story that feels less like a memoir and, I don't know, more like a psychological horror film.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's set in this very specific, very claustrophobic time and place. We're diving into Strangers, a memoir of marriage by Belle Burden.
And honestly, horror isn't too strong a word. I mean, it's not about ghosts or anything. It's about that terrifying realization that the person you've shared a life with for 20 years might be, well, a complete stranger.
That is the core question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How well do we actually know the people we love?
It's a terrifying thought.
It's the ultimate nightmare scenario. You think you've built your life on solid rock and it turns out to be just sand. But before we get to the collapse, we have to set the stage.
We do, because the setting here is like almost a character in itself. It's March 2020.
The month the world just stops.
Exactly. The early panic-filled days of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're talking wiping down your groceries with Clorox, being afraid of the air,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
So Belle Burden and her husband, James, they pack up their two daughters, Evie and Carrie, and they flee New York City.
Right, to their vacation home on Martha's Vineyard.
And that atmosphere is so vital, they are isolated. On an island, there is literally nowhere to go.
And at first, James is playing the part. He steps up. He's the protector.
Oh, perfectly. He's building these roaring fires. He's locking all the doors at night to keep the bad things out. He's even making whiskey sours for Belle at sunset.
Right, and he's cracking jokes like the whiskey will kill the virus. It's so charming.
It's reassuring.
It is. And looking back, it's such a specific early pandemic detail. We were all doing those little rituals to feel safe.
So on the surface, they look like this solid team just hunkering down against the apocalypse.
Which makes what happens next so much more jarring.
Because the betrayal doesn't happen when things are falling apart. It happens when James is acting like father of the year.
Okay, so let's walk through what the book calls the inciting incident. It's March 21st, a Saturday. James is out on the deck grilling a roast chicken. And there's this one detail in the book that it really stuck with me, the oyster.
Oh, that detail is devastating in hindsight. For anyone who doesn't know, the oyster is these two little round pieces of dark meat on the back of a chicken.
The best part.
It's considered the most tender part. Yeah, chefs fight over it.
And James carves it out with this big theatrical flourish and gives it to one of his daughters. It's a performance.
It's a performance of devotion. Nothing is too good for my girls.
So they eat dinner. Everything seems fine. Then James steps away for a work call.
A work call on a Saturday night during a pandemic, that's red flag number one.
Belle's in the kitchen. She's doing the unglamorous work, scrubbing grease off the roasting pan. And her phone rings.
She doesn't recognize the number.
Nope. So she lets it go to voicemail. But then she listens to it.
And this is where the floor just drops out from under her.
It's a man's voice. He sounds shaky, nervous. And he delivers this one line that destroys her entire life in, 10 seconds?
I'm sorry to tell you this, but your husband is having an affair with my wife.
Can you imagine? You're holding a soapy sponge, wondering if you have enough toilet paper, and in an instant, your marriage is just over.
She freezes. She finds James on the stairs and confronts him. And usually in these stories, you expect denial, right? He's crazy, I don't know him.
Right. But James doesn't deny it. He confesses immediately.
And this is where we start to see the psychology of the stranger. He minimizes it instantly.
Instantly. He says, it meant nothing. It's over. I'm so embarrassed.
He's acting like he forgot to pick up the dry cleaning, not like he just detonated a nuclear bomb in his family.
And he claims it's only been going on a few weeks with a woman from work, a banker.
And even in the middle of this trauma, Belle's brain just latches onto this logistical detail.
I know. The other women have a huge finance job and 2 toddlers. Belle is standing there thinking, how does a woman with a big job and 2 toddlers have time for an affair?
It's funny how the brain works in a crisis. You try to solve the math because the emotions are just too big.
But the math gets darker. Very quickly. Belle isn't satisfied with James's oops explanation.
Yeah.
She texts the other husband.
The guy from the voicemail.
Yeah, and he just blows James's story out of the water. He reveals it's been going on for a month, not a few weeks.
And then he drops the real bomb.
His wife is currently in an ambulance. She attempted suicide after the affair came out.
This is the moment where the stranger really emerges. Because if you hear that your actions drove someone to attempt suicide, a normal human reaction is horror, guilt,
panic, something.
Right. But how does James react?
He's purely practical. He calls his mistress, confirms she just took sleeping pills and is physically fine.
And he looks relieved.
Yeah.
That's it. He shows zero concern for the woman in the ambulance and absolutely zero concern for Belle, his wife, who's watching this whole thing unfold.
It's chillingly efficient. It's like a switch just flipped. The protector is gone. The manager is here.
And the management strategy is to eject.
Which brings us to the next morning. This visual is just seared into my brain.
It's hours later. James wakes up. He's inside the house, but he's fully dressed in heavy winter boots and a parka.
A parka inside the house.
It's like visual armor. He's already separated himself from the environment. He stands there zipped up and announces, "I've decided I want a divorce. I'm leaving."
And he just goes.
He gets in his car, drives to the ferry, and leaves his wife and 2 daughters on an island during a global lockdown.
That is the literal definition of abandonment. And naturally, this forces us and Belle to look back. Who were they before this? Was it all a lie?
Because from the outside, they looked perfect. So let's rewind. 1998, they met at Davis Polk, this huge, prestigious law firm.
And it's a classic opposites attract story that seemed to work. Belle refers to herself back then as Belle the Good.
Which implies a lot of compliance, right?
Totally.
So Belle came from serious socialite money. Her grandmother was Babe Paley, the fashion icon. But Belle was emotionally scarred. Difficult childhood, a cruel nanny. Her father died when she was young. She was shy, compliant, and above all, she wanted safety.
And James was safety.
He was the knight in shining armor. Handsome, confident. He saved her from a boring boyfriend. They had this whirlwind romance secret notes, a proposal at the Grand Central Clock. It was cinematic.
But James had his own baggage. A lot of it.
Huge baggage. His father had abandoned their family and left them in financial ruin. So James grew up with this deep-seated terror of poverty.
He was obsessed with financial security.
Completely. In the marriage, he controlled all the money. Belle handled the emotional labor and the kids. James handled the assets.
So they were a team. He secured the perimeter. She made the home warm. And they got all the stuff that proves you've made it. The houses, expensive watches.
Even a vintage boat from a James Bond movie.
They were the picture of success. Until the pressure of the pandemic, or maybe just time, caused James to snap.
He didn't just leave the marriage. He seemingly tried to escape his own identity.
So let's go back to the timeline. Spring 2020. James is gone. Belle is isolated on the vineyard, and James starts ghosting her.
He goes ice cold, refuses to speak on the phone. He'll only communicate via text, and the texts are just cruel. He demands she lie to their friends, say the separation was mutual.
Ah, the classic PR move. Help me protect my reputation while I destroy your life.
Exactly. And for the first time, Belle the Good says no.
Good for her.
She refuses.
Yeah.
And the punishment is swift. James's family, people she's known for 20 years, cut her off via text.
Wow. But the most baffling moment, and we really have to unpack this, is the sandwich incident.
This is late April. James comes back to the island briefly to tell the kids about the divorce.
This scene is straight out of a dark comedy. He walks in wearing a mask again, protecting himself, and he's pacing. He breaks the news to his daughters, shatters their world.
And then immediately turns to Belle and asks her to make him a turkey sandwich.
I'm sorry, what? I just blew up the family, but could I get some mayo on that?
The audacity is staggering. But what's even sadder is that Belle makes it.
Of course she does.
She falls back into that caretaking pattern. She tries to make it the perfect sandwich, thinking, maybe if I show him what he's losing, he'll snap out of this trance.
She's bargaining. It's heartbreaking. But while she's slicing turkey, where is James? He's not with his crying children.
No! He's in the basement, and he's frantic, just digging through old boxes.
He's not looking for photo albums, is he?
He is not. He is looking for the prenup.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't find his copy.
Yeah.
So while his wife makes him lunch and his kids are crying, he is rummaging through the archives to make sure his assets are safe.
Because the prenup had a specific clause, right?
A critical one. It said assets and individual names stay separate. James has the liquid millions from his hedge fund. Belle used her inheritance to buy the houses.
So the houses are in her name, but they're illiquid assets. You can't buy groceries with a house.
Exactly. He's checking to make sure he can walk away with all the cash and leave her house rich, but cash poor.
That is just calculated ruthlessness. And then he eats his sandwich and leaves.
He leaves, and then he sends a text to Belle that says, "That was a great visit."
He is hallucinating.
Yeah.
He's literally rewriting reality in real time to make himself the hero, or at least not the villain.
This is actually a hallmark of what some psychologists call runaway husband syndrome. It's not just leaving, it's the need to rewrite the whole narrative.
They have to make the other person the villain.
Right. If Belle is crazy or playing the victim, then his leaving seems reasonable. If the marriage was always unhappy, then he's just escaping. He can't face the reality that he's the one blowing it up.
Which brings us to the divorce war. Because Belle still assumes, okay, he's having a crisis, but he's still James. He'll be fair.
And she was dead wrong. The custody negotiation is the first shock. Her lawyer sends a standard 50-50 agreement. James sends it back with 0 overnights.
0. He doesn't want his kids to sleep at his new place.
He essentially resigns as a father. He asks for dinner on Thursday nights. That's it.
And he's living well, right?
He's living in a luxury apartment, staying at the expensive Beekman Hotel, buying $30,000 mattresses. He has the space. He just opts out.
And financially, he goes scorched earth.
He tries to force her to sell the Vineyard House and the NYC apartment, the homes she bought, because he wants to be bought out. He tries to squeeze every penny out of her.
It sounds like he's trying to punish her for his own guilt. Or maybe it goes back to that childhood trauma you mentioned.
I think that's a huge part of it. He's hoarding resources. Even though he has millions, that little boy inside him is terrified of being poor.
So he became the thing he feared, a man who leaves his family, to avoid the other thing he feared, being poor.
Exactly.
So how does Belle survive this? She's alone, she's being sued, her friends are gone. This is where the story pivots.
Well, Belle the Good has to die so Belle the Survivor can be born. And the catalyst, honestly, is anger.
Anger gets a bad rap, but it is a great fuel when you're stuck.
It is. She stops crying and she starts moving. She walks miles every single day on the island, just this physical processing of the trauma.
And she reclaims her space.
She does. She tears down James's beige, minimalist decor in their apartment and puts up green wallpaper, pink lights. She makes the house hers.
And she goes back to work.
Yeah, she's an immigration lawyer for juveniles. Doing that work reminds her that she's competent, she's smart, she's not just a discarded wife, and she uses that legal brain to fight back.
She files a counterclaim in the divorce.
Which was a very risky move legally.
All right.
She challenges the prenup. She calls out the abandonment. She basically says, I will not let you rewrite the history of this marriage.
And then she does something even bolder. She writes.
She takes a Zoom memoir class. She starts processing the story. And she writes an essay called, Was I Married to a Stranger? For the New York Times Modern Love column.
But here's the twist that baffled me. She asks James if he wants to read it before she submits it. Why give him that power?
I think it was about integrity. She didn't want to be underhanded like he was. She wanted to be able to say, I have nothing to hide.
And his reaction? He takes 10 days to reply. 10 days. And then he writes, Your article is good, sad, hard to read. I'm supportive.
I'm supportive. The man who did all this is supportive of her writing about it.
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
It's hard to parse. Is it total detachment? Does he view it as fiction? Or does he just not see himself as the villain? Either way, the essay runs in June 2023, and it goes viral.
I bet it did. It struck a nerve.
Huge. Belle gets hundreds of messages. It turns out there's a whole unspoken club of people who have experienced this runaway spouse trauma. They thought they were alone.
And this leads to her moment of liberation at her tennis club on the Vineyard.
The place where she was terrified of the gossip. But instead of hiding, she walks in with her head high. And she realizes that by publishing the essay, by telling the truth, she burned up the shame.
The shame wasn't hers to carry anymore. It was his.
I love that. Secrets keep you sick.
So true. Before we wrap up, I want to touch on the osprey metaphor. That seems really central.
It is. Ospreys are birds that mate for life. They return to the exact same nest every year. Throughout their marriage, James was obsessed with the ospreys on their property. He admired their loyalty.
The irony is just painful.
It's devastating. In spring 2020, the ospreys returned to the nest, just like they always do. But James didn't. He broke the pattern. He became the disruption in nature.
So how does it all end? Does he get the houses?
No. Ultimately, James settles before trial. He probably realized a public trial, especially after that essay, would be a PR nightmare. Belle keeps the houses and the kids. James keeps his hedge fund money.
And she changes her name.
She legally returns to her maiden name, Burden. She drops James's wife from her identity.
The final image of the book really stayed with me. It's Belle sitting in her living room, reading her own published words in the newspaper.
It's a perfect closing image. She's not just a survivor, she's the author. She reclaimed the narrative. It really shows that while you can't control how people treat you, you have absolute control over the story you tell about it.
And she realized the happy memories, the wedding, the early years, were still real.
Mm.
He couldn't take those away.
Right. Even if he became a stranger in the end.
It's a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that sometimes the person you think you know best is just a character they're playing until the script changes.
And when the script changes, you have to pick up the pen and write your own.
Well said. This has been a heavy but incredible journey.
It's a brave book. Highly recommend it.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.